Remember, you're an... Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Is It Real? Today, we're gonna take a look at something different. Not one, not two, but 5 different creepypastas. You guys have been suggesting a lot of different stories, and today I'm gonna cover some of the most suggested ones in the first part of my 1000 subscriber trilogy. Yeah, that's a good name for it. I love that. Let's kick it off with Abandoned by Disney. The Walt Disney Company is one of the largest and most well-known companies in the world, and for good reason. For almost 100 years, no other company has created such memorable classics as Disney. Disney has, without a doubt, helped millions of children, and even adults, and shaping them into what they are today. But is Disney really as innocent as they seem? Over the years, Disney has made some rather questionable business decisions, such as building the gigantic holiday resort, Treasure Island, for over $30 million, and then, mysteriously, abandoning the whole place. Their reasoning behind it was because of quote-unquote shallow waters, which made their ships unable to safely operate. Since then, the place has become a ghost town. According to the well-known story, Abandoned by Disney, a very similar incident also happened in North Carolina, where Disney began production on another holiday resort called Mowglis Palace. While building the resort though, Disney allegedly pushed people out of their homes to make space, and locals were of course angry, causing uproar. Despite this, Disney completed the project, and the palace opened up, at least for a while. After a short amount of time, Disney closed down the resort, and the locals were happy. One day, the author of the story came across a blog post about how people had been exploring the other abandoned resort, the Treasure Island. While exploring the area, the bloggers came across creepy and unexplained things. The author found the post interesting and remembered the old story of Mowglis Palace, and so he went to Emerald Isle, North Carolina, and found Mowglis Palace. The atmosphere of the place was creepy, suspenseful, and quiet. The author had also brought a camera and snapped a few photos while exploring. He found broken souvenirs and much more, and occasionally found writing on the walls reading "Abandoned by Disney." The area had been completely deserted and destroyed, probably by locals and workers who had lost their jobs. When the author reached the huge meat freezer though, he saw something peculiar. The hooks were swinging, even though they hadn't been used for years. Each hook swung in a different direction, but the movements were slow and small, so it was almost impossible to see. In one of the rooms, the author froze though. He heard something, and he assumed it was a radio or a television, and if he really listened in, he could hear a conversation. It sounded like a whisper, and was hard to hear, but it sounded like 2 people arguing, and the conversation ended in crying. After exploring the area a little more, the author found one of the few locked doors with an actual sign on it that read, "Mascots only, thank you." After removing the padlock, The author entered the unexplored and mysterious room. There were tables with pads and pens, and clocks, and it looked almost as if it had been evacuated in a hurry. Eventually, the author reached a black and yellow striped door with the words Character Prep 1 stenciled on it. The door wouldn't open at first, and the author was about to leave, but when he turned around, he heard the door creak open slowly by itself. Readying the camera, the author braced himself and entered the dark room. Various Disney costumes hung on the walls, and there was an entire rack of loincloths and native clothes on hangers toward the back. The most interesting thing about the room, though, was the fact that a photo-negative Mickey Mouse costume was lying on the floor. When the author was taking pictures of the moldering costumes, a loud clattering sound made him jump. The Mickey Mouse costume stood up. It was alive. The author froze, and when aiming the camera at the creature, the camera went haywire and broke. Mickey spoke in a hushed, perverted voice and uttered the sentence,
"Hey, wanna see my head come off?"
It then started to claw around its neck and removed its own head, and disgusting yellow blood sprayed everywhere. Thick, curled, yellow blood. The author turned away as he heard a sickening tearing of cloth and flesh and ran for his life. As he started to run, he saw the final message written on the metal wall with bone or fingernails. Abandoned by God. They didn't want anyone like the author getting in. They didn't want anything like that getting out. What a truly terrifying story. It's written in such a great way that keeps it gritty and realistic, and is incredibly creepy, but incredibly good. And you guys want to know if it's actually real. So, is it real?
Nope.
Sorry, it's actually not. Here, let me help you sleep again. Here we go. Let's begin by explaining the pixelated area around the supposed location where Mowglis Palace was built. This theory gained large notoriety when tasty, talented, tender Tats Top videos made their phenomenal top 22 non-gaming creepypastas, which sadly cannot be found on YouTube anymore. I don't know why, but I blame copyright. In the video, one of the video hosts, Tats himself, shows us that when he searched for Mowglis Palace on Google Earth, the whole area was pixelated. It was like Disney was trying to cover things up. So I did my own research,
which included going to Google Maps because my Google Earth wouldn't function,
and searched for Mowglis Palace. According to Google Maps, the place is located in Hopetown, Bahamas. Do you see the contradiction yet? Oh, you don't? Well, remember my summary? The story mentions that Mowglis Palace was built in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, but according to Google Maps, it's located in the Bahamas. Seems a little bit contradictory and fishy, don't you think? And if you haven't realized it yet, the area is not pixelated. So either tasty, talented, tender Tats' computer was slow that day, or Google hadn't finished taking satellite photos of that area at the time, because as you can see, it's clear as day. But just for fun, I searched for the Treasure Island location too, which was according to the story in Baker's Bay, Bahamas, and it was too clear as day. In fact, it seems Baker's Bay isn't even in Google Maps' database, because it didn't even come up in the suggestion box. That's strange. And to debunk this theory fully, I also searched for Emerald Isle, North Carolina, and just like before, it was also clear as day. And about that super creepy yellow blood asshole Mickey thing, it's creepy and all, I'll give the story that, and no disrespect to the author of the story. It's a great story, but very few creatures on Earth actually emit yellow blood. Some examples include sea cucumbers and beetles. So, mysterious photonegative creature spraying a large amount of yellow blood seems rather unlikely. And here's something interesting. Did you guys know lobsters have blue blood?
Well, shit. Every day's a school day.
And here's possibly the biggest reason why this story is fake. Remember, it's all up to your own interpretation, and if you still believe in the story, that's perfectly fine. More power to you. But here's a direct quote by the original author, Slimebeast, on his own forum at slimebeast.com. The whole story came from a quick sentence I wrote when some friends were trying to write creepy stories that were only one sentence long. It was something like, in the sub-basement of Disney World, there's an opposite-colored Mickey who pulls his head off but reveals only blood. Huh, something like that. Anyway, I thought it would be interesting to make that the climax of a scary story, and I had read about the real abandoned Treasure Island resort, and decided to make it a location like that, instead of the actual Disney World park. What a bummer! The story is actually not real! Oh well, I guess it'll help you sleep at night now though, knowing that it's not real. Right? Right? What's that? You're still scared? Well, what's the matter? Oh, there's more? You want more? Okay then, fine. How about we talk about, say, Candle Cove? Will that make you happy? Thought so. Here we go. The human mind is a powerful thing. In theory, it is capable of anything. One of the many feelings our brain can give us is nostalgia. The feeling when you relive something from your past. It could be by watching movies, reading books, playing old video games, and so on. The point is, nostalgia is a powerful thing. And some people will stop at nothing to relive their past experiences. I'm absolutely certain that you, who are watching this video, have felt nostalgic at least more than once or twice in your life. Remember when you queued up at the cinema, waiting to see that big new blockbuster Disney film? Remember that excitement you felt whenever your favorite show came on television? Remember opening up that case and putting the disc in your brand new video game system? Your memories are powerful, and memories are a key part of this story. Candle Cove tells us the story of how a number of people begin discussing old nostalgic television shows on an internet forum. One forum user brings up an old show called Candle Cove. The user in question asks if anyone else remembered the rather obscure show, and surprisingly, some people did. But the more these people dug in their memories, the more they remembered. They remembered the controversial main villain, the Skin Taker, who was a skeleton who skinned children alive to produce his own clothes. And they also remembered the horrible screaming episode, where nothing but screams of agony, pain, and horror could be heard for the entire episode, while characters from the show would randomly pop up, and you could see the main character, Janice, crying, as if she had been through hours of it. The story ends with one of the forum users asking his or her parents if they remembered their child watching Candle Cove when they were younger, and the parents thought it was funny that whenever the forum users sat down to watch Candle Cove, they would just sit in front of the television, watching static for 30 minutes. What does this mean? Could it be that this obscure and incredibly creepy show was made specifically so young children could see it, while adults could only see static? And that's what I personally love about this magnificent story. It leaves a lot up to the reader's imagination, and leaves a lot of ambiguity, which only fuels the creep factor of the story further. It's personally one of my favorite creepypastas, and for good reason. But like before, we must ask ourselves if it's actually real. And you wanna know something? I don't know. I actually don't know.
I don't know.
Yes, this is a first. I'm not sure if a creepypasta is real or not. Why do I think this way? Well, you see, there are some aspects of the story that seem fake, and some aspects that seem real. First off, the forum in the story is called the Net Nostalgia Forum, and from what I've gathered, no such forum exists. But on the other hand, YouTuber Raytana Seishin, sorry if I butchered your name, claims in one of her videos that she actually remembers watching the show. And to me, it sounds like she's telling the truth. Either she's a really good liar, which I'm not saying she is, or she actually remembers watching the show. I personally think the latter. So in conclusion, I don't know. The most I can do is to debunk the supposed screaming episode that can be found on YouTube. I went into this video thinking I was gonna debunk the shit out of this story, but now, I'm not too sure. But anyways, I'm gonna play a short clip from the screaming episode, and I want you to listen to the screams. Sounds familiar? Let's debunk two creepypastas at once, shall we? In one corner we have Cove, in the other we have SuicideMouse.avi. Alright, settle down, ladies. But let's compare both videos. Both have the same screaming in them. Seems a little fishy, don't you think? Okay, here's how it actually is. If you go to freesound.org and search for Psycho Scream, these three sounds are among the first results. So, the screaming episode is fake, but the rest is up for debate. And SuicideMouse.avi? That one's fake too. But remember, fake or not, a television show cannot hurt you. So it's okay to go back to sleep. Wait, what? You want more? You want even more? Well, what do you want from me? Alright, fine. I'll do one on the grifter, okay? Jeez. Let's go.